All right, so now I'm going to show you how to sharpen our bottom feeder grind for our bolt gouges. So we have multiple sizes of this. The bevel is all the same. We have it kind of in the middle, so we're at a 55-degree nose angle. And the biggest thing on the bottom feeder is you want the tip of this flute right here to basically be a straight line down to the bottom of the flute. And I'll show you how to make that happen a little bit easier and how not to roll it over too far. When you roll this tool over too far, what happens, this bevel now starts coming towards the flute more, and you cannot engage the side of the tool, which is the side that you do most of all the cutting with. So I'm going to show you two ways. First, we're going to do the V-arm. I have already matched the angle of the tool to the V-arm, to the wheel, 55 degrees. Now, there's a little bit of a trick for this tool. Where most people go wrong is they roll the tool over too far. So the biggest thing is we want the two top edges of the flute to be in a vertical position. So that is straight up and down vertical this way. Super easy. What we're going to do, we're going to come down on the wheel and we're going to roll to the middle. We're not going to try and go to the other side. And we're also going to use all the wheel. We're going to start on one edge and we're going to roll to the middle. That does help you get a little bit so that you have a straight wing here instead of a little bit of a dip. This is the key though. Top edges of the flute, vertical, this way. Super easy to remember. Come down on the wheel, roll to the middle. You have to stand and you have to hold the tool in a position that's going to work for you to roll it smoothly. As you can see, I didn't match my tool angle perfectly with the wheel, so there's going to be a couple more passes here. Okay, I like the way that looks. I need one more pass. I didn't get my bevel all the way. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other way. I'm going to pull the V-arm out and now I'm going to slide the platform in. I've already set the platform with our setup gauge, bottom feeder bolt gouge. Same thing, thumb in the hole, the wheel's still spinning. You would do this with the wheel not spinning. Match our bevel. Some people find this version easier to do. I don't know. I'm good with it either way. This is going to be different for different people. You either want to hold the tool with your hand down here. You have to find a position that's going to be comfortable for you. For me, I'm going to have to hold it up like so. Same thing. Top edges of each flute, vertical this way. Come into the wheel and roll to the middle. Same thing. I'm not going to continue to sharpen it anymore. The bevel doesn't match 100%. It doesn't need to. And once again, check the angle. Protractor, I have it at 55. There you go, 55 degrees. Some people will want to relieve the heel right here. It will give you a little bit better maneuverability in the bottom of the bowl as you come around the corner. I usually do this freehand. We don't send the tools out like that because it confuses new people. I'll show you a quick and easy way. You can just do this. See how that's rounded that heel off? Now it's going to be a little bit more maneuverable. When it comes down sharp to a point, as you turn the corner in the bottom of a bowl, it can compress the fibers of the wood a little bit. So a lot of people will remove this part of the bevel. It is not necessary. So like everything, find a position and find a way that works for you to sharpen this. Okay, so now we're going to show you how to sharpen the fingernail bowl gouge the way that it leaves here. So the way it leaves here is really in the middle of all the parameters of the angles. We feel it has the best of both worlds. Our top bevel is the shorter wing, the Stuart Batty 40/40 grind. The nose angle is the David Ellsworth style gouge, which is a little more user-friendly with picking up cuts. So ours is a cross between the two. If you love the 40/40 grind, this is very easy to change because it's already halfway there. So we also use a 2-inch stick out because shorter stick outs, you see how shiny this is for how much we use it, and we have no gashes right here from the jig hitting the wheel. That's because of the 2-inch stick out. I kind of get it a little snug before and you don't have to buy any fancy things. We make these. So we got 2-inch stick out. Tighten her up. There you go. So we're going to zoom in for a close-up so that you can see what notch we're at, because it's really hard to see unless you're zeroed in. So we're going to go ahead and move the camera in, and then we're going to show you how we find our notches. So now that I've got the arm moved out of the way, now I'm going to show you how we find our notches. So there's a lot of confusion with these notches on if you should start on one shoulder or the other shoulder, the bottom of the notch. We're going to start at the very bottom of the notch because we feel that that's the easiest way to register your first notch. So we go 1, 2, 3 notches up, and then we move our arm and we put it at the bottom of that third notch. So if you like that setting, you can take and scratch yourself a line in there. We use the jigs a lot. We keep them at one setting, but that is how you find your third notch repeatably. And now we're going to go to the grinder and we're going to show you how to do that. Okay, now we're going to show you the actual sharpening of the fingernail grind. So the biggest issue that people have is setting the distance of the V-arm away from the jig. And I know that there's a lot of tools available to help with that, but they're all a little bit inconsistent, and you don't need to buy any of those. This is what we've came up with because traveling to different clubs and demonstrating, the grinder setups are different. So as long as we have this little rod, we know we're going to be able to achieve the same setting each time. And it's very simple. Piece of coat hanger, any kind of wire, So we have come up with this measurement of 7 7/8, and the bottom of your V-arm and the little wire touches the wheel. That is your distance. Now, to make this easier for repeatability, what we've done is we've gotten a piece of PVC pipe and we have set that in there and we put a little mark on the pipe, and then we cut that pipe to this distance, and you can either use a stick or something, or you can use the pipe the way we do. So every time you put the jig back in, it's in the same spot every time. So the biggest thing to remember, and what gets people in trouble sharpening this tool, is you end up with a dip in the side. So, or you roll the tool over too far. So there's a very, very simple trick on this. We call it keeping this part of the jig flat or horizontal. So pretend there's a bar going across here and your handle can't go past that. That's the key point. Once you start going past that, it starts rolling the bevel in too far. So remember, this part of the jig in a horizontal position. Get a balanced position, come down onto the wheel, and roll to the middle. Come to the other side, roll to the middle. Some people like to go all the way around. It's a little tougher for some people. I like to use all of the wheel. You spend most of your time sitting on the side. Now, when you get that big dip in the side, right here, which causes that little beak to stick out, that's because you've spent too much time in this position. You roll the tool down farther like this, that brings the side wings in far enough to where it's hard to pick up the cut. You almost have to roll the tool over almost upside down. So just remember, simple, horizontal. Come down on the wheel, gently roll to the middle. You're going to spend most of your time here. Roll the middle. Roll to the middle. Super easy, as long as you remember horizontal position. That's the key. So people are always asking, what do you do when you mess up your fingernail grind? And it's easy to do. We sharpen tools every day, and we still occasionally mess them up. The biggest issue that is done is, I'm going to show you the close-up here. There's what we call the beak, and it's from holding the tool too long in that one position, and you've got that dip in there. And when you're using the tool with that dip in there, when you hit the end of the bevel there, you usually end up getting a catch. There's a very quick and simple way of fixing this, and I'm going to show you that now. So how we do it, it's kind of a freehand thing, but we put the grinding platform in because that's going to register both of your tops of your flute onto the platform, and it's going to make them be square, and it's going to even out both your sides. And it's really just this. Now you can see how that beak is gone. Now another aspect of this is you can see the radius of the profile, and now when you go to sharpen this in the fingernail grind again, you just sharpen to the edge of that inside flute. So it helps. Not only does it help fix a tool that has one wing longer than the other, it helps fix a tool up that is uneven. And then you're starting out again with both wings in the same position. And there's nothing easier to sharpen there than that, because you know exactly where to sharpen to. So now that we've talked all about this, there is a couple of things that I left out. So just to reiterate, the fingernail is a little bit more complicated because we've got our stick out. We have our notches to go back. We have how far to set the V-arm out. One thing I left out is over the years, there are numerous knockoff companies or other companies copying the one-way products, and their notch system and their length of everything is not quite the same. So if you have one of the other brands of these, it's not a one-way Wolverine, our system may not line completely up with yours. Just be aware of that so that you can compensate for that, and you maybe have to adjust your settings a little bit. So there you go. Hopefully we clarified making this tool easier to sharpen for you. All right, so now we're going to show you how to sharpen the fingernail grind on the spindle gouge. So same as our bowl gouge, we have a 2-inch stick out. Our setting the same way. We have kept the same setting as the bowl gouge for ease of a lot of problems that people have setting their jig back and forth when you go to spindle gouge to bowl gouge. It gets very confusing, and then you can never get it right back in the same exact spot. So we've found a way with the 3 notches up to keep the setting exactly the same for both tools, but we did adjust the V-arm length. So now we're at 7 inches instead of 7 7/8. Same thing. We've made our little PVC pipe that we can slide in there. It doesn't have to be a piece of pipe. It can be a stick. It can be anything, just so that you have the same distance every time you put this in. So I'm going to show you how we sharpen that. There are several different ways. When we're done sharpening this, we'll show you the difference of one that's a little more rounded on the end, one in the middle where this one's going to be, and then one that has a very long, elongated grind to it for getting into deep V-cuts. So we're much the same way as the bowl gouge with not rolling this over too far. If we come over too far like so, just like the bowl gouge, we've now moving this bevel in, and it's a lot harder to engage. Some people like to do this in one motion. Use what way works for you. I think practicing and doing it in 2 might be a little easier. Same kind of deal. We start on the side and then we roll to the middle. I think if you do want to roll this back and forth both ways, it's easier on the spindle gouge than it is the bowl gouge. Now, if you spend too much time in this position right here, you're going to end up with a dip in your side the same way. So you want to be a fluid roll from the tip to here, but don't spend too much time here. And that's it. That's how easy that is. Now we're going to show you the different. So to have this a more rounded profile, you will spend a lot more time in this position so that you can take this edge and be a little bit more dome shaped. The one we just did now, we're kind of on the side a little more time. And if you want to bring this pointier, that's when you start rocking back and forth to get it a little bit more pointier. But you don't want to stay in one spot too long because that will get you your dip. So the same thing, you want to kind of rock it back and forth a little bit if you want it pointier. Then when you get the shape you like, then you can there you go. We're going to show you the 3 bevels now. Now that we've showed you how to sharpen this tool on the grinder, we've done 3 approximate profiles for you. So to show you the one that we just sharpened, that would be the middle one. That's kind of in the middle. So some people, for doing toes, they like a much blunter grind. This is where you would spend more time on the nose going back and forth and less time on the side. This one's right in the middle. And then this one right here is a lot pointier, and there's been a lot more time spent on the side. This would be when you want to get really tight down into some big V groove. The angles for these, we have come to 35 to 40 degrees. Pick your personal preference on which one you like. Again, you can take and grind the heel away a little bit for you, personal preference. Hopefully that helps you figure out this tool here, the spindle gouge.